What's up, YouTube? Biz Matthew here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have my friend Chris here with I Choose Freedom, but he's going to share basically his first wholesale deal. So if you all like this video, if you all find value or you relate to his video, please like this video, subscribe, comment down below, and yeah, and we'll just hear Chris' story. So Chris, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm awake, I'm breathing, and tomorrow's Friday. I can't get any better than that, right?
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, yeah, thank God tomorrow's gonna be Friday, but
Amen to that, bro.
yeah. So I just want to first off by asking you, because this is my first time learning, knowing you and meeting you and different
Yeah,
things like that. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, what do you do for work, or different things like that?
sure. So I live in Omaha, Nebraska now. I've got a wife and three kids, 8, 5, and 2. My wife stays home with them. I used to be a teacher. I was a teacher for 10 years. And then while I was teaching, I started a bullying prevention program.
Mm,
Started speaking in school, started getting requests to speak around the country. It was crazy. Wrote a couple books, was able to leave my teaching job and essentially do that full time, And then Rona hit, and
mm.
majority of my business is working with schools. So schools shut down, and it's like, well, how are we going to make money? You
Right.
know? So, praise the Lord, my wife is a really good money manager and everything. So we were okay, but it was a lot of like, okay, when's this going to end? Is it going to end? Are schools going to open? Like, what's the deal? So started doing, like Shipped and Uber Eats, just kind of gig work and delivery stuff. And a buddy of mine reached out to me. We're like best friends. And he was just like, dude, I'm trying to get into real estate. I was like, that's kind of one of those things I've always wanted to. I just
Mm,
always thought like you had to have you had to have money, like a ton of money to invest in it, whatever. And he was like, no, like there's this thing called wholesaling. I'm like, what's wholesaling? And he kind of explained it to me. So I started listening to podcasts. I started watching you. I started watching
mm,
a couple of the other, just big names on YouTube and stuff like that. And I'm like, I could totally do that.
mm-hmm.
So I got into a program. Can I say the program that I invested in?
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
I invested in TTP with Brett Daniels.
Awesome. Yeah, he's great.
He's a good dude. He's a
Yeah.
really good dude. And I went through that program. I think I started back in October of 2020. Went through that and, got into prop stream, mojo dollar, and batch skip tracing, the industry standards for
Mm-hmm,
everything.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And just started hitting the phones because schools were closed and the potential in real estate was just there.
Right, 100%. Yeah, and I like, your story, how, just this transitioning from being a teacher to starting your own business. Because I mean, even though, your business still has a purpose, I mean, it's still more of that entrepreneurial route. So I
Yeah,
guess you saw that in yourself and you decide to take action and to take that leap of faith into entrepreneurship, owning your own business, of course, with a vision, with a mission, with a purpose behind it. So I really like that. And
yeah,
so I guess that's when what's on your shirt, part of your program.
yeah.
Okay, got you. So is the business still running right now, like virtually or anything? Because I know schools are probably going to
Yeah.
open up soon and different things like that.
Yeah, so it's crazy. And I was going to get into this later too, but the second half of the school year here, so from, I'd say January, February up until now, schools are opening back up, at least here in the Midwest.
Hmm.
And so I've actually, just from January till I'd say probably April, I had more speaking engagements in the first 3 or 4 months of this year than I did in all of 2020.
Wow, that's
So,
a
I
blessing for
mean,
sure.
yeah, and my fall is already booking up pretty solid, but at the same time, I'm still kind of my real estate is taking a little bit of a backseat right now, but schools are closed for summer next week.
Oh, okay, right. Exactly.
So
That's
the
true.
summer is my playground.
Right. You gotta take advantage, you gotta take advantage of the next 3, 4 months in the
That's
summer.
right.
But that's great. So let's dive into I guess your first deal. I know you say you got introduced to it by your friend, following different YouTubers, you joined TTP and
Mm-hmm.
different things like that. And so kind of break down like when did you actually first get started or like join the program and actually started taking action in wholesaling?
It was October, beginning of October, when I first, got into the program and started going through the videos and everything. And I think it's probably middle of October that I actually hit the dialer. Just kind of started with about an
Mhm.
hour a day, just on the dialer, and just kind of gradually worked up. And I'm not gonna lie, man, there's a lot of people, at least in Omaha, at least in Nebraska, there's a lot of people that are doing what we're doing. I mean,
Mm,
some markets are more saturated than others.
mhm.
Um, so it kind of shook me a little bit, getting yelled at, getting hung up on, getting cussed out.
Right, 100%. Yeah, I mean, that can be a big barrier, especially for beginners. I know it was for me, just talking to people or just the rejections at meetings, at appointments, and different things like that. But I
Yeah.
guess over time, I mean, you found a way to cope with that and different things like that. I mean, how were you able to cope with that and get used to it?
I'll be honest with you, I'm still not hundred
Right,
percent used to
right.
it.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, the thing that got me is, I told my wife, I'm getting a couple leads here and there, and when I'm on it, it's working. It's just, you get that
Mm,
one person that just
right,
tears you up.
exactly.
And my wife looked at me and she's like, I love you.
Mm,
I'm on your side. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, if you're gonna do this for our family, you can't let any of this stuff shake you. She's like, and
wow.
she asked me this, and this did it for me. She was like, um, do you think you can really do this? And I said, yeah. She's like, but do you really believe it? Like, do you really believe it?
Wow.
And I was like, it just froze me. I was like,
Right, right.
I guess if I do believe, I shouldn't be having this much reluctancy.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, that's a good woman you have, honestly. You know,
Man,
inspiring you, motivating you like that, just bringing you to reality. Yeah. Like, hey, this is real. Like, are you for real? Like, let's go.
yeah,
But yeah, that's a blessing for sure. So, okay, let's get into, I guess, your first deal. So you told me you closed one in March of
yeah.
here. So tell me about the lead. So,
Can
how did you
I
get this?
can I
Okay.
can I share a story real quick?
Yeah,
I
100%.
actually had a deal fall through
Mm,
first,
okay.
and I'll be honest with you, I learned more from that than I did with the deal that actually went through.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. You can
Crazy.
quickly like explain what
Yeah,
happened. Yeah.
I'll make it quick. So it was the guy was on a vacant list,
Uh-huh.
and I called him about a house, and he was like, "No, I already sold that." And I said, "Do you have any other properties you're looking to sell?" He said, "Yeah, I have a duplex." And I said, "Okay." And go back and forth for a couple of weeks, and he's like, "Okay, everything is out of it. Did you want to come and see it?" I said, "Yeah." So I go see it. I look around. We talk numbers a little bit, and I was like, "Okay, let me just check comps, whatever, make sure it's good. I'll call you back in a day or two." He said, "Okay." I call him back. I said, "Okay, that price is good. 95,000. Sounds good." He's like, "Okay, if you want to come and meet me, we'll get the paperwork signed and we'll get it into title." I said, "Great." I go down to the duplex. He's in there with a sledgehammer, ripping, like busting out the walls and trying to redo the insulation.
Oh, wow.
I was like, Okay. He's like,
Right.
now you're taking, and I get there. He's like, now you're taking it as is, right? I was like, as is 3 days ago.
Right. 3 days when we agreed. Right. When we talked. Right.
And he was like, no, no, as is. And I was like, and I got that first deal jitters, like, oh, it's my first deal. Like, oh, I wanted to go through. But he took a property that was probably only going to need like 30,000 in repair. And from what he started doing, he took it up to about 60
Oh,
in
wow.
repair. So I put it under contract anyway. I was like, the market's hot. Maybe I can get something. And had cash buyers come through, and they were all just like, nope, it don't work. Nope, it doesn't work. Nope. And I had to back out of the contract. So, so I
Dang.
learned more doing that than I
Right.
think I did
Exactly.
in the actual deal.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and that's great because I think, a lot of beginners, they're so afraid to make mistakes, but in the mistakes, you learn so much about this business and it better prepares you for getting your first deal. So, I bet like going through that really helped the ease of actually closing your first deal by having
yep,
that mistake. Um,
yep,
but yeah, that's key. Okay. So your first deal, like tell me
yeah.
like the type of list you were targeting, the situation with the seller, why they were selling, and different things like that.
Okay, so it was actually it was my first driving for dollars list that
Nice.
I did. I think it was like the third or fourth week of October. It was my first driving for dollars list, and actually, it was the house is 2 streets down from me.
Oh wow.
Like I can throw a baseball and hit the house. It's
Oh wow.
crazy. So, but it's one of the ugliest houses in the neighborhood. So,
Mm.
of course, I'm gonna put it on my list.
Hmm.
So, and it was my fifth time calling through that list. And I know a lot of guys are like, no, don't call through a list more than 2 or 3 times. I was like,
Right, right, right.
whatever. So it
Right.
was my fifth time calling through the list, and the dude finally answers.
Hmm.
And I just went through, the script, just, hey, my name's Chris. I know this is out of the blue, but I just wanted to see if you consider an offer on your property there. And the guy was like, actually, yes, I would.
Oh
And,
wow.
and after I got over the initial, like, he said
Right,
yes. Uh,
right, exactly.
just kind of started going through, and turns out it was 2 guys that were uh, romantically involved.
Okay.
Um, I think they were actually married, but they were splitting up, getting legal, separate, that whole deal.
Uh-huh.
And there was just a lot of drama, and they had come to the consensus like, hey, we just we need to go our separate ways. But they had this house that
Mm.
they were both on, and they didn't know where to go.
Right.
So it honestly, it was just right place, right time, right phone call. That's
Exactly. Yeah.
you know, that's
Yeah,
just
that's
really
that's
what it was.
wow, that is crazy. So, all right, so you were able to, I guess, do driving for dollars. And like for me, and I know Brent Daniels talks about this too, like driving for dollars to me is one of your best ways to get your first deal because you're out there in the field, you can see the distress and the properties and different things like that. And not everyone will have the same exact driving for dollars list, so it's
Yep.
very unique. Um, and then okay, so I guess their situation was they're splitting up. They need to sell this house. So did you set up an appointment to actually see the house? How was the condition of the house?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and different things like that.
So it took about 2 months of
Mm,
just follow up to be able to set the appointment, because I got a hold of the one guy, and he said, I got to have this conversation with my housemate, um, and he's like, we just have to make sure this is what we want to do. He's like, I want to just have to. I'm like, okay, and I'm just being cool with them. But I was like, I'll call you back in a week and see. Okay, great. And then just always making sure you set that next follow up call. Okay, is it okay if I call you back in a week? Okay, what time on Thursday works? Just making sure you set that specific time.
right,
Um,
that's key.
so So eventually, after 2 months, and then the Christmas holidays hit, and he's like, "We don't want to do anything over Christmas." Fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we finally set the appointment. I go down there, take a walk around the house. The condition was, I mean, it was two guys living,
Right.
you know.
Exactly. Okay.
um,
Were there major repairs needed, like some
yeah,
foundation issue or some plumbing or roof needs to be replaced, something like that?
I didn't see any foundation issues. I mean, I'm not an expert,
Right.
but there was no leaks, there was no major cracks or anything like that. Um, roof the roof and the siding were what put it on my list.
Mm,
Roof and siding, and so the siding just needed torn down or just needed repainted.
mm.
Um, but it was just ugly.
Oh.
Um, get inside, the bathroom was
It's
it,
just two
it,
guys, two men.
yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
And it was just a junky place.
Mhm.
So I figured, you know, conservatively,
Yeah.
30 to 35 in repairs, maybe.
Okay, okay. And what do you think all fixed up the market value of the house would be?
165 or so.
65. Okay. And so when you
Mhm.
started talking about price, what price did you push out? What price did the sellers want? And what price did you all ultimately, decided on?
My goal was to get it for 80.
Okay.
Because, and here's the thing about this house, it wouldn't have shown up on any other list that somebody would have pulled. It wasn't high equity. It wasn't vacant. They didn't have any liens, no water shut off, no nothing. So
Mm,
the only way to get that property was to drive for dollars.
okay.
Um, so, but they still owed, I think, 70 on their
Mhm.
mortgage.
Okay.
So my goal was to get it for 80 and still give them some some cash in their pocket so they could take care of their moving expenses and whatever. Um, we sat down for negotiations, and I said, "All right, what's the best you can do?" And they said, "Can you do 100?" And I was like,
Mm,
the silence.
right. Right.
I said, "What if I could do 80? Does that sound like something that would work or not really?" And they're like, "No, we can't do 80. Um, can you do 90?" And
Right.
okay, made like I was jotting stuff down. 90 was like the max I wanted to
Right.
go.
Right.
90 was like my absolute max. I was like,
Right.
if I could come up to 90, when would you guys be able to close?
Mm,
When would you move out?
mm.
And they were like, could we do 30 days?
Right. I mean, it's tailor made. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
perfect scenario, you know?
yeah. And in my head, I'm like, yes.
Right.
But
Awesome.
on the outside, you gotta be cool. You gotta be cool.
100.
Um, so I got under contract for 90 and gave them 30 days to move out. So, and that gave them money in their pocket. It was a good feeling on both sides of the table. So,
Right, right, 100%. Okay, so you put it under contract at 90,
mm.
and so they were still living there. How did you navigate, showing buyers there while they were there and everything like that? Because I know
This
I
is
get a
one
lot
of
of
those.
questions, from my subscribers about that.
Yeah, this is one of those that, okay, anybody watching this is one of those, like, you're just gonna hate me, okay? Because this is one of those. This will rarely happen from what I found. Um, but I have a guy that I go to church with,
Hmm.
and he's a family friend, and he knew I was looking at this house to get it under contract, and he's a buyer and all that. And he told me in church one Sunday, he was like, "Look, whatever you get under contract, I'm your buyer." He's like, "I don't
Mm.
want you sending out to anybody else. I'm your buyer." I was like, "Okay." So So as soon as I pulled away from the house that night, I called him and I was like, hey, here's the address. Can you give me, I was like, can you give me 100 for it? Just because I'm thinking, okay, he's got to make so much. He wants to make so much. He's got to do this much in repairs. I was like, can you give me 100 for it? And he looks at the address real quick. He was like, send me the paperwork. I'm like, dude, I didn't even send you pictures. Do you want to see it? He's like, no. He's like, I know the area. He's like, I want that house. Send me the paperwork right now. He's like, send me pictures if you want to, but I don't really care. I was like, okay. I got home. I sent him the contract. I had it back within 15 minutes. And then the next morning, I sent it over to title.
Wow. Hey, hey, yeah, I know you may get, some, criticism about that, not expanding it all to your cash buyers, but, I mean, you still used your network of people that you knew, that you didn't have to be in, I guess, that awkward situation between sellers and buyers and setting an appointment and different things like that.
Well, I already did when I was at the table with them getting their side of the paperwork done. I was just like, look, I don't know if I'm going to need to do this, but just is I like to set up a day, just like maybe like a Saturday afternoon or a Wednesday night or something. Just give me an hour just so I can bring some of my partners by, so I can just make sure I can secure funding, get some people some contractors just to look at the roof, maybe, whatever. And they were like, oh, yeah, that's fine. When are you going to do it?
Okay.
So,
pretty chill.
Yeah, so I set that date anyway, just in case I did have to bring those cash buyers through to look at it. Just get it all done. And then it was such an easy phone call just to call them 3 days later and be like, hey, actually, I don't need to bring anybody through. Yeah, so we're good to go.
Awesome. Hey, that's great. But yeah, it seems like, I mean, that area is pretty, nice and whatnot. I mean, maybe he can, if he flips the property, get even more than that 165. So maybe your calculations were, kind of a little bit more on the conservative side, for sure. But yeah, so okay, so you closed this deal. It took about 30 days to close. I guess you started the lead back in November, December?
Yeah, started in November, and then we closed. I forget the exact date. It was in March, but we actually worked it out to where my buyer, the guy that I was working with, he was like, look, he's like, I don't want anything to fall through. He's like, let's see if we can close early. They'll get their money. They can stay in there until that agreed upon move out date, but they'll get their money. I get my money. He's like, and then he said he can start lining up all his stuff. So called the sellers. I was just like, hey, title came back clean early. Right. We can close. I was like, we can close Friday. You guys will get your money. You can have it. You can stay in there till move out date. And
everyone wins. It's a win-win-win situation for all.
Everybody was happy. I'm telling you, dude, if I ever get another deal like this, like, holy cow, I got a horseshoe somewhere. Right. This is totally not typical.
Right. So is your buyer the one who, goes to church with you? Is he like a usual, like a flipper, or he's trying to hold it for a rental? What's his exit strategy?
For this one, I think he's going to use it as a rental. He's just going to he walked the property and he was like, I can get this done for 15.
Wow.
I was like, whoa, okay. So I think he's going to hold it for a rental. Just this neighborhood is prime for that. And with the investment of that, it'll cash flow so easy for him.
Right, exactly. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, yes, try to stay close to him. Maybe you could partner on some deals with him, like bigger flips and stuff. Yeah.
Funny thing, he texted me about 10 minutes before we got on here, and he was just like, when are you going to give me more deals?
Right, exactly. I mean, yeah, I have buyers saying that to me too, because I mean, inventory is low nationwide, but yeah, I mean, if you can provide a value and even partner with them on some of the flips, I mean, they'll be more than happy to do that.
Yeah.
Um, okay, all right. So I guess with that 10,000, what were you able to do with that?
Um, I needed a new laptop. Um, I had a 2012 MacBook, and it was working, but I mean, it was a dinosaur. So I got a new MacBook, which is
Okay,
nice.
nice.
Um, and then the rest is just sitting in the bank right now. Because when I ramp things back up next week, um,
Right.
got the expenses. I'm gonna get back on the dialer. I want to branch out, do some SMS, some very targeted, very niche direct mail,
Mm,
um, and
right.
things like that. So that is just sitting there right now for you know for
Marketing.
what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
to help grow it. You know,
Right. Exactly. Okay, yeah, and that leads me to my next question. I mean, do you have any more leads in the pipeline that you're following up with? How does the summer look like right now?
I've got two leads right now that are pretty solid. They're just long term follow up.
Right.
Keep in touch with them every couple of weeks. Like one lady's already told me, I keep hearing from people, but I keep telling them I'm going with Chris. I'm going with Chris. She's just
Right.
getting to retirement age and she's going to move out. But, I've just built that rapport and that relationship with her that, when she's ready, she'll let me know. I just keep in touch with her.
Okay,
So,
perfect. And so I know you were, watching different YouTubers. I'm just curious. So when did you find my channel? Do you remember?
it was probably in early October, like when I really started buckling down
Okay.
and studying things. You obviously wholesaling Inc.
Right.
Flip with Rick and RJ
Right.
Bates and
You're right.
those guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the thing that I love about what you do is you're not afraid to just put the raw footage out there. Like
Right.
it made me feel, especially when I was getting started, it made me feel so much better being able to just pull up your video and no offense, but watch you get cussed out.
Right, exactly. I mean, yeah, that's the point.
And
Right.
just be like, oh, it's not just me.
You're
Okay,
right.
good.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, just looking back on what I was looking for, that's what I was trying to provide on the channel. So I'm glad that you appreciate that. And yeah, thanks for the support,
For
100%.
sure.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you would like to leave like my audience with? Like, let's say someone's trying to get their first deal, what words of advice would you give to them?
Be patient.
Hmm.
Um, and honestly, don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to walk away
Hmm.
because just from my experience, I would a bad deal, or I'm sorry, no deal is better than a bad deal. One of the worst feelings I've had, I mean, yeah, I want to shut down my full time business for 6 8 months. That feeling stunk. I literally lost sleep over the fact of I'm going to have to cancel this contract. I have to cancel this contract. Oh, the title company's going to be mad. The seller's going to be mad. Like it drove me crazy. I'm all about integrity and accountability. That's just how I lead my life and how I lead my businesses.
Hmm.
So having to go to somebody and be like, look, I cannot fulfill my end of the deal, that killed me.
Mm.
So, you know,
Yeah,
just
100%.
just being able to understand, like, don't be so excited for your first deal that you end up doing something stupid or get yourself into a position where you have to do that.
Right. Yeah, I like that what you said, no deal is better than a bad deal. And unfortunately, I mean, I put myself in those situations too before, and sometimes I still fall in those same situations, but just learning from that and moving on. But yeah, I appreciate that, Chris. Yeah, you all, I hope you all like this video. Comment down below if you have any questions for Chris or I. And yeah, I'll see you all on the next one. All right, peace.